Let's take a look at number 2 now. Each square in figures D and E has a side length of 1 unit. Compare the area of the two figures. Which figure has more area? All right. Well, if I'm looking at this, I know that each side of this rectangle right here is 1. Okay. I've got 2 of those to find the area for, and I will find out that those areas would be 1 times 1 equals 1. And so since I have 2 of those, the total area is going to be 2 units squared. Okay. Now, let's deal with these half circles here. Well, if I could slide everything over, I would have 2 full circles. Okay. So to remember to find the area of those circles, we're going to have pi times radius squared. Well, if you look at the side of this square, which we know is 1, is also the radius of a circle. So I would have approximately, let me change that to approximately, 3.14 times 1, which is 3.14. Okay, 3 and 1400ths. But I have 2 of those. So I have to multiply that times 2 to get my total of 2 circles, which is 6.28. Now remember, I've got these 2 squares up here, so I'm going to add that to get about 8.3 square units. Okay, so that's with D. This is all the work for D. Now for E, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those circles, 1 by 1, which would be 1. So 4 times 1 is 4. Okay. But if I look at all these little circles, I find out that they're quarters. So that means I've got 4 quarters right here, which would make a whole circle. All right. And then I've got another 2, which would be a half. So I've got 1.5 circles here. Okay. So we still want to use that formula. So I got approximately 3.14. And if we look at this, 2 of those are going to make a diameter, so the radius would still be 1. So I've got that, all right? So that means I've got approximately 3.14 square units, all right? But I've got 1.5 of those. So I've got to multiply that by 1.5. So 3.14 times 1.5 is 4.71. 4 and 71 hundredths. I hope you can see my decimal there. But remember, I have to add these 2. So that's going to give me about 8.71 square units. Okay. Now, which figure has more area? It's going to be figure E. How much more? It's not going to be but about 4/10 more. All right. Pay attention to how many circles you have. What can you put together to make a full circle? Be sure that you multiply the number of circles that you have by your area of the circle, okay? Explain or show your reasoning, that's important. Showing your work is showing your reasoning. So the answer to number 2 is E has more area, but not a whole lot more, just about 4/10 square units more.